Hello, boys and girls, mom and dad, uncles and aunties. Welcome to the PK podcast. And this is your man, MC Otoberema. And you guys know we are back and we are back strong. We are about to do the ministry, what God has called us to do. Season 1 was great. Last episode, I hope you guys enjoyed it. But today, you can see it's only the boys here. It's the boys' affair. And we have a wonderful conversation to have. Without further ado, you guys know who is on your screen right now. If you don't, we have here Elder Sam Nyamekye.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From SU Syracuse, you know, aka Dada Save. You know what I'm saying? And we have here, I don't know. The worshiping point. DK. From Columbus PRWC of the Church of Pentecost, and I'm your, one and only MC O'Toole.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So today, guys, how are you doing? By the way, how are you doing? How the wifey's doing? How the kids doing?
Yeah,
yesterday's boys are today's fathers. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Now, when you ask, oh, how's your wife doing? How are the kids doing?
Yeah.
So, by God's grace, the family is growing and we are doing amazing by God's grace. Yeah.
Awesome sauce. Elder, I hope everything is good and upstate New York.
Upstate New York.
One thing I know you say is it's cold. I know.
It's getting warmer. Today, as you can see, I'm not wearing a jacket. It's a big thank you to God. So it's getting warmer. Hima is doing well. Papa and the sister, they are doing excellent. So we bless God.
Awesome sauce. You can always transfer. You know that, right?
I know. Time to transfer to a warmer place.
Yes. There's a perfect environment for you. So I'm just saying.
I feel you.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, welcome, and we are glad that you guys are here. We are glad that you honored our invitation. So today we're going to talk about something, and I know we already spoke about it. I mean, we shared the topic, the PK and imposter syndrome. The PK and imposter syndrome. I have a preamble that I wrote, we put together, and I just want to read a couple of it before it kind of gives us the idea of the conversation. Okay. So being a pastor's kid often comes with a unique experience, one that many admire from outside, but some few might not understand, or, there can be honor, privilege, responsibility, expectation, and sometimes silent pressure, right? So for many PKs, life is lived not only as an individual journey, but also a shadow of a calling that existed even before we arrived. Okay. So imposter syndrome can make people question their place, their voice, their achievements, and even their calling. All right. For pastors' kids, that experience may be layered within the family legacy, public perception, and the weight of representing something bigger than themselves. So, with this preamble or this intro, do you ever feel like people see the title pastor's kid before they see you?
I'll let Kwaku go first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's given because it's a title and it's a position. I want to draw this comparison, like you say, Eli and his children, Aaron and his children. So they see the title even before the name. Sometimes even you are described by the title. So definitely, yeah, people will say Eli's kids, Aaron's kids, because it is the one who has been called first and is the priest. So definitely the priest will come with a title and the kids will follow. So the identity of the kids are always shadowed in the calling, in the title. I feel that people will see the title before they see you. And so if you are talking about imposter syndrome, yeah, it's glaring that people will see the title before they even come to experience the person. Yeah.
But have you had that experience?
For me personally, not so loudly. Yeah, not so loudly. I tried not to. There's a way that you can also show forth that you are the pastor's kid. But I think for me, I didn't even, growing up, I didn't even see myself as a pastor's kid. I thought I was a Sunday school kid. I thought I was one of the other kids in church, So maybe it's a personal thing that I realized early on so that it will not get to me. Yeah, so for me, I don't have that loud personal experience about it.
That's cool. That's good.
Your turn.
All right, cool. So I think I'll just add a little to what Kwaku has talked about, which is the fact that there's the calling, and then we have the called, and then the call to would come in with his family. So especially in our setting in the Church of Pentecost, you obviously have, the manservant who comes in, and then with the wife, and then the children. So obviously, because of how the structure is, you often find yourself hidden under a very broad cloud. You find yourself hidden under this broad cloud. And yes, the imposter syndrome, it is real, but as to how one experiences it may vary. So do people often see the title, pastor's kid before they see us? Yes. Oftentimes that's what actually draws the attention. Pastor's kid. And then who is this pastor's kid? Oh, so and so. So yes, the thing is real. People often see the title. Oftentimes people see the title before they see you. And for me, as an individual, have I ever experienced it? I have never really experienced it because of one or two factors. I don't know if I should mention them now, but maybe sometime later in the conversation we can talk about it. But not really. Not really. I haven't really experienced.
Okay, we hope that those reasons or those examples or experiences find their way inside the conversation. Wherever
we hope so too.
So, one thing that I feel is leading this conversation is when people see your label or pastor's kid label, do you feel like it takes away the person that you are, or it reduces your potential of what you could be? Because maybe, let's say, does role playing come into your mind, or do you go back into the setting of a role player when people begin to address you before or see you as this person, a PK, before the real person that you are?
It's a very good
So
question.
maybe you want to go first?
That's a very, very good question. I think that the reality of the matter is role playing does exist in the context of being a PK very easily. And then sometimes one of the most easiest thing to happen to play that role, okay, without even understanding yourself, understanding the ministry to which even the family has been called, let alone your own ministry within that family. So it is usually one of the very easiest thing to fall inside and just swim like the fish floating in it, easy. So role playing, it is the easiest and is one of the most prevalent acts within the PKs. People are playing a lot of roles. But I think one of the key things, one of the things that I think we shared some time ago during our morning devotion back home those days was the role that Hophni and Phinehas played. They knew the act of being a priest, but the ethos of being a priest, they didn't understand. That's role playing. So they can play the role very well. They knew what it means to worship, at the tent as priests. They knew all the items that needs to come together, but their actions were very much different. So yes, role playing is very, 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 very easy. It's so easy to happen. In fact, I feel that after growing up with your family, watching your father, watching your mom, going to church in and every day and stuff like that, automatically you know what opening prayer is. You know what worship should sound like. You know how praises should go. In fact, you know the very dot of the closing prayer. Very easy. You know these things. And you would eventually move into that role without you even being aware of it. So yes, that is very, very key. And the effect on it, on you as a PK and your calling, it is massive. That can be very detrimental to your call as a PK. Yeah. I don't know, Brother Kwaku.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I really agree because, and it's unavoidable. You cannot avoid it. You, I used to be in the corrections, prisons, back home in Ghana. I was going to say prisons ministry. Yeah, everything is ministry. But,
It's ministry.
and there was a term that we would say, "Wadaman Peking." And you realize that when we went to training, one of the things that could distinct us, those who didn't have the background from prisons, and those who had backgrounds, like they had parents or uncle, someone in the prisons as an officer, was very distinct. They knew the salutes, they knew some of the commands, they knew the ways about, so it could tell, like when an instruction is given, it could tell how they went about it. So as Sammy said, I think it's eventually, if you are going to do ministry, which we are all called to ministry anyways, the role playing will help you find the foundation of whatever you're going to do, so that when eventually you catch the spirit behind you catch the spirit, and then you get into ministry, it doesn't become a whole new learning process, as has been mentioned. So opening prayer, all the ways, the arts, the arts. Let me say, but the spirit behind it. So it's good to know the art. It's, I mean, if we are all called, right, and we all have the calling, and I'm doing opening prayer, and I know how to, put some actions to it, how to tag the church along. I've learned it. I've seen ministers. I've had the privilege of having examples to look at. So if I'm doing it plus the spirit, now the spirit, some people are blessed. They are immersed into the spirit. They have their encounters early on. They get into their ministry early on. But some way, somehow, it's going to come. Even those who go wayward, they're going to come back. But if you know the art, if you know the ways about it, and eventually you are in ministry, it's going to tell. It's going to show that you really come from. So it's not surprising to me personally when maybe I'm ministering, we are all singing. Sometimes people are even better singers. They have the vocals than me, but they see your conduct on stage, and I cannot explain it. And people be like, go yourself for bar, or do you have that background? So it kind of is telling, and maybe it shows. As I said, the example of the Wadaman Peking. Once you are coming from that background, role playing is essential. Play the role. I always say something like, it's good to pretend to be good than to pretend to be bad. Let's say we are acting and you say, oh, pretend you're an angel. It's pretense. Pretense is, well, I don't know whether to say pretense is good or bad, but at least you are trying to mimic something that is good than to say, act like a devil or pretend to be like the devil. Now you are playing the role of a bad example. So you play the role. Once it's in church, once it's opening prayer, you play the role. But eventually, when you have your encounters and you start your own ministry, or God gives you, your calling, and you begin to walk in your calling, all these role playing are going to come important.
Okay. So, I mean, this is a very, very good point you've made. I like the fact that you've actually brought role playing into somewhat a platform that is required for you to, spring forth into your higher calling. Where I have my question is the thin line between role playing and you actually understanding the spirit behind it, but not just being glued to the letter. So, because you have a lot of people who actually understand Pentecost in and out, but may have never actually read the book of Acts. So they understand Pentecost, they understand how the church itself functions and everything, but probably they have even grown up to be elders but they've never even read the book of Acts to understand the outpouring of the Holy Spirit and how it moved the apostles. So they have never actually caught that spirit, but they are classical role players.
Yep.
So I feel like there's that thin line, and it's a very, 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 very thin line. So if that is not well dealt with and possibly guided, okay, which I think the guidance is one key thing, possibly guided, one may understand the role play and possibly also assume that is the real thing, because the person has been doing it from their very early age on until the point that they are now. So I mean, that's one of the things I've been thinking about. I think to me it's a very big question mark which we should deal with.
Yeah. And like what I think it's a good segue where we're going with this, right? That are you really true to who you are? Or you're just you're dancing to the drum or dancing to the music, which I feel like a lot of pastors' kids, like you were saying, even deacons, deaconesses, and elders are just doing the role playing, not even PKs only, but they know how to say hallelujah, praise the Lord. Let us all rise, even as we they know the motions and the actions and the clapping and the dancing. And then because when you are in the environment, you just learn and you just know how everything is done. But then the heart, the ethos, it's missing. The core of who you really are, whether you're really for this ministry or you're not. And I think that is where God actually honors that all these things you do. What about your heart? Where is the main stance? Now, for many PKs that are in this quote unquote imposter syndrome, quote unquote role playing, and maybe they feel like they are fake. How do they move from that state to the real deal? And we're talking about pastors, we're talking about soft mamas, first ladies, we're talking about PKs, we're talking about elders, deacons, deaconesses, and all.
It's a good question, practical and very difficult. Because after you have played the role for a while and you become very used to it, sometimes you don't even realize the need for you to come out of it and seek the authentic you. I'll give you something funny that happened during our Easter convention, New York region. I think it was the Friday evening or something like that. And, they have called the elders and everything. And we were praying for breakthroughs and stuff like that. And pastor was like, elders, lay hands. So I told Elder Kwanzaa by me that, Charlie, come and lay hands. Me, here breakthrough. I need a breakthrough. He started laughing. I was like, bro, I need breakthrough.
Yes.
At this point, I think in as much as we are ministering to other people, I need God to also come for me.
That's true.
But for me, I was not going to substitute it for my role at that point, because it was like I need to wrestle with God, just like Jacob. I got off stage and went to kneel before the altar.
Yeah.
And then I prayed. Soon I realized that one of our elders also came and was like, Charlie, here breakthroughs. In many instances, you've played the role so long in front of your audience. Let me use audience for that reason, because at that time it becomes a performing art.
Yes.
So in front of your audience. Now your audience have seen you in this role for a very long time. How do you navigate to the point where now you're seeking the authenticity of it? I think that you need a lot of grace. Yeah. You need a lot of grace to really point out to you that this is just, this is not the real thing. Because what if God has not really called you to play that role that you are seeking to play? When you actually watch this, if I can bring this in, the current Secretary of Health, R.F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
He was sharing a story, and then he talks about how he felt that he needed to continue the family legacy of the Kennedys. Trying to be like his dad and his uncle, who were both assassinated. And he's like, he needs to do this and do that. He gets himself now into drug addictions, blah, blah, blah. And he said it was after that he realized that is not where he belongs. And then he got into environmental advocacy. So that's how it's ended him into health and advocacy and where he finds himself now. But before that point, he felt that he should pursue the family call. So it wasn't his calling, but it was he pursuing the family call. And he went all the way to law school. He did all that he could to pursue that calling. So I think that this particular thing that we are talking about is not just because it affects every single person who finds himself hidden under the big cloud of a title. But your question, how do you find your way back? You need a lot of grace to actually point to you that it's time for you to put a comma. Number two, I think you need to really humble yourself to the voice of God. And number three, I would say that the third thing is don't think too much about the audience. And that's one. I feel that is the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Then Uncle Fobeka, what are the people going to say? My uncle is this. What are people going to say? So sometimes the audience and the people would cause you to keep playing the role and never seeking the authentic calling on your life.
Yes.
So I think that's the third and the most critical thing. Learning that each one has been called. And God is going to actually judge you according to what you've done with that calling. So you learn to cut off the audience and understand that it is even, in fact, First Corinthians 12, when Paul was talking about the gifts of the Holy Spirit, he says these gifts has been given for your common good. So even for the good of your very audience or your very congregation, you must seek the authentic calling. Because it is even for their good. So that you don't go and then losing sight of your authentic call that God has called you to be. Maybe I'll just put a comma here.
Yeah. So before we go into the next part, right? And I hope Braa Kwaku, you were listening in, so you heard a couple. I know. Sorry, viewers, for the technical difficulties, but it's part of the imposter syndrome. Anyway, so Elder Sam was saying, there was the instance where we are all praying at a convention, but because you are the pastor's kid, because you are the elder, because you are the pastor, you are shy to come in front to raise your hand and say, Lord, I need help, because everybody thinks that now the audience never we are so about that side and I'm paying
I want to comment on that. So it's a good thing. I always look at perspectives, right? The pressure of the people can actually help you be good. It's not always towing to the pressure of the people to play the role and not see the spirit. Like, if truly I know that I hold an office, there's a calling upon my life, I am a PK, I'm a church leader, I'm an elder, and I need to pray for people, I need to minister to people, right? It puts pressure on you to seek God, even in your secrecy, the more, so that by the time you come out, that is not where you are going to also receive. There's a point where you receive, right? But I'm thinking, so now I'm an elder. I know that definitely I'm going to be called upon to lay hands on. See, the fathers who laid hands on us to receive the Holy Spirit. Now it's our time to lay hands on these kids coming. So I know I have a bigger responsibility to cater after myself make sure that I dig deeper or I go up higher. Whether I'm seeking depth or I'm seeking height in God, in my secret place before I come. Else, it's going to be shambolic, and people are going to see that your calling. That is where your people are going to see the real calling. So if you put it into good perspective, the pressure of the people, the expectation that, hey, I cannot keep playing this role. I cannot, like, you are an elder and you are called to preach, and you begin to say, hey, you didn't inform me. The first time I was told to preach in Columbus, I wasn't on the speaker's plan. So my president elder called me and was like, oh, elder, can you preach this Sunday? I think it was the Friday or the Saturday. I said, yeah, I can. Because I have prepared. I have messages. There's a theme for the year. Like, I've done my own review. So it's not the time to now go and say, but if you are playing the role and you are not serious about building life in the secrecy, you'll be called upon and then you'll be found wanting. So I'm saying that the role playing can actually push you to do good. It can push you to dig deeper in God, so that by the time you come out in front of the people, you are prepared. Else, it's going to find you out. It's going to find you out, and then you are going to be found wanting. Yeah,
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And for sure. So you have to really find the truth for yourself. You don't need any you don't need anybody or any pressure or any external forces to let you achieve whatever that you need to achieve or where you ought to be. So I think that is also very, very important. And the point of, if you ascend to that level, let's say you're not a PK anymore, I think there are points where at different levels, a member or EK, DK, whatever, you are able to be vulnerable at some point. But then when you are elevated to a certain point, a pastor, whatever, there are certain things that maybe you might have to role play and then go back at the back and work yourself out before coming for the benefit of the flock.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the flock. But I also want to touch on this part where you mentioned the family call, the family calling, the pressure to follow the family calling. And I see there's a bunch of PKs that are not following the family calling. Yeah. You see this software and your studio na rakata be hey it's on Amaze hey aha, and then you see this PK not necessarily on the pulpit or serving in ministry, but doing something totally different from the family call. Now, with that, obviously, there are going to be chats. There are going to be, people talking about that. If there is any person in this situation and in this, dilemma, how do they go about this? And also, there are some pastors or elders that shouldn't be elders or pastors that they are in because of family call. Let me just put it out there. I don't know if you agree or not, but that's my
yikes.
Yeah. What do we think? What do you think about the family calling?
The family call. So one, I think that we should all understand that once you are under that cloud, you must pursue the family call. You must do everything that it takes to pursue that family call. I'll put two things here. So if you don't pursue the family call, it does have an effect on the calling itself and then the outcome of it. Why? Once the father and the mother and then the children are called, like in our practice, the whole family is called and then they lay hands on them. Not just the man, not just the woman, but we have the children also come. To the whole church, your father is the commander-in-chief. Your mother is equally playing her role. You will be going to youth ministry or to Sunday school or to whatever. And there is an expectation. There's an expectation. Whatever be the case, for the fact that you are sitting in the mission house, there's an expectation on you. Okay. So you should do everything that it takes to pursue the broader goal of the family. However, there will be a distinctive purpose and use that God would actually use you to do. Okay, so for example, maybe in the broader family call, your father's doing this, that, preaching, everything, every single thing. But every single time that you go, you are the one who's going to be fixing the sound. You're the one who's going to be fixing the cameras. You're the one who's going to be doing all those things. You may not necessarily be preaching. You may not necessarily be, leading opening prayer and leading the prayers. But for your technical expertise, God is also using that to actually build that calling. You have a minister and the wife who come to a district or an area, and Charlie, the kids are playing all sort of roles. They are finding themselves
that is ministry,
really pushing their father's work. Okay, instead of in cases where you have some come in, and then, like you said, Charlie, they might not actually be doing evil, but they are just not pushing as much as they can.
I'm your MC.
Was it?
I'm your MC.
I'm supposed to be an MC, but seeing other things, anything that you can do to push the work. When it comes to someone's uniqueness, we shouldn't despise it. We shouldn't despise it, because eventually God is going to actually use it to be a blessing to the family. So you cannot actually despise uniqueness. For example, I'm someone who plays instruments, and then our last boy, Papa Che, he sings. But you realize that Stephen would always pick up the camera. He's the one who would always pick up the camera. He's the one who would always want to go to the media room. That is what actually attracts him. Okay. Wherever we find ourselves, the first person to start commenting about the media and be like, Charlie, the LED screens and stuff like that. While I'm not looking at that, that's what he quickly picks out. So when we all come together, that's what you call that family call, and then you all pursue it collectively. You all pursue it collectively. Sometimes you may have those who are just not interested, and we trust God that as time goes on, and then they push that family calling. Yeah, so that's what I'll say for now.
So in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 8, when you read the account of before Israel asked for a king, it says that when Samuel was old, he appointed judges, and he made his sons judges. And the Bible says they didn't walk in the ways as godly as Samuel did. And so the elders now went to Samuel and said, "Make for us a king." I want to continue from where Sam left and said, we need to walk in the calling. We need to walk in the calling of the fathers. It might not necessarily be ending up as priests, but we need to walk in the calling. I want to chip in a secular example, like you see John F. Kennedy. He's into politics. He might not necessarily become the president, but he might end up as a secretary. He might end up as a policymaker. He might end up as an activist. That is still within the framework of politics. So your father is the priest. We are not, or your father was the president. We are not saying automatically become the president. Eventually, some will toe the line and become president. Some people, their fathers were MPs or Secretary of State. They will toe the line and become Secretary of State. Others will toe the same political framework, but end up in other places, still contributing to the broader framework, whether it's politics, whether it's ministry. So the Samuel example I brought in, it's funny enough how Samuel's kids couldn't walk in his ways and couldn't toe his line, walking godly as Samuel did. And now, this cuts short the lineage of Samuel being a judge for Israel to the point that the people now were asking for a king. So if we don't toe the line, my dad will always say, "You're afraid elder, you're afraid deacon, you're afraid officer, and that person will end up, he doesn't know the ways of ministry that much, but because he's willing, and God always uses the available. So you have stayed in the mission house all this while, you have seen everything about ministry, and you say you will not do it, you will not toe the line. Well, you stay in the church, you bring someone from outside because God needs people, and they will come and they will do it, nyama, 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 and they will be at the background complaining, So we shouldn't even think that we are not in ministry. We are in ministry. We should pursue ministry, whether it's picking up the camera, whether it's, we should have the heart that we are doing this, we are in this together, it is ministry. And as you mentioned when you're introducing the topic, well, I don't know specifics, but maybe not all of us will end up as a sophomore or a priest. Maybe not all of us will end up.
Will end up. Kwaku is going.
I was about to say right after he spoke that,
Shadamako, no,
hey, next white paper, are they watching?
Call and station that.
Call and station.
Charlie, don't throw me under the bus like that.
You're already under the bus.
Oh, so I'm saying we should have the mindset and be ready when the actual call comes to pick up. Else, the people will start asking for a king instead of a priest. So we are in ministry, and for those who have found their way outside, I think you mentioned that. How do they come back? I think Proverbs will say, "Train up the child the way he should go." You train up the child, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. We've seen a lot of comebacks. We are trusting God for grace. Some have left the fold and gone even outside the boundaries of church, and we see some of our brothers pursuing careers in pursuing secular careers. And at that point, you only trust God for grace.
Name names. What careers?
I mean, we see our brothers and sisters.
My brother who calls himself an environmentalist. That's what you want to say.
If you're going to academia, it's gospel ministry.
I know that's a Kwaku wants to pass.
Kwaku loves ministry. Even when he's working for prisons, he says he's working for prison ministry.
I know, right? Yes, for me, I have the mindset of ministry. Ever since my dad told me that, I think they were calling officers, and I was always dodging. I was dodging. They took me for a deaconship interview. It came and they said, "Oh, you're an elder." I said, "Oh." So God is always looking for someone who is willing, someone who is ready. He's not going to use someone who is qualified. Just be ready. Just be willing to learn. Just be ready to go through the process. And eventually you find your place in ministry. Just like apostles and pastors are sitting, evangelists are sitting here.
This guy.
It's you now the Lord is talking to you behind your shoulders.
But you see, the mindset that Kwaku has is different. And that may not necessarily qualify as role play, but as someone who has understood the need for the call. Because as he's speaking, you realize that he's pointing out the need to accept the call, the need to appreciate the call. In many cases, the role play thinks that he's in ministry, but has picked up the tools. He has picked up all the tools that the person needs, but the person has not had that distinctive encounter with God. So the person understands all the practices, you go for presbytery meeting, a simple matter. Hey, Pentecost, and so meanwhile, there's no actual constitution saying that you can't do otherwise. It's just like how we all grew up knowing that Pentecost will never have funerals in the church. We've all thought that. But one time I remember a question, but well, hold on, about the Makion guy, his funeral, we've seen videos of his casket in the church. So it was later on that we heard that, oh no, there wasn't any constitutional thing stating that you cannot bring a casket into the church.
Yeah.
you realize. But it was because of actual physical infrastructure and, the social composition of how things were. That is why they felt that doing it on the park is much more better to handle rather than doing it in there. So now that we have bigger auditoriums, why can't we now bring it that everyone is in the auditorium? And Charlie, it was nothing constitutional, it was nothing spiritual. But imagine someone who is role playing and has never actually thought of seeking the real reason behind this. And then now the person becomes a leader. Hey, why are you doing this? No, we don't do that. We don't do that. But the person never really understood, what is behind. So that's what I'm saying, that one can easily role play and not have depth of understanding in the role. So we'll just be lingering in there. And I keep saying this to my dear wife or him, that the way Pentecost is structured, bro, you can swim in there and the current will keep you moving.
You can
keep you moving, moving. Because the church is so well structured. The church has the numbers now, and stuff like that. So you can actually move in there, and then your term of office will end. They are transferred.
And nobody is there. You just sit there. You can literally just tow it, and no impact, because there's it's like this huge thing that you were part of, and then you're just today we have like 40 backgrounds. It's like you're prepared for transfers every time you are traveling with different. So which city are you in right now?
Budapest.
Oh, Charlie, the work must go on. The work must go on. You see,
the work must go on. The work must go on. I have a question when it comes to this, like Sammy, you were talking about, right? That some people have been in the system and they're always thinking the system. And you see, and then this and this and this and that and this and that. And they kind of feel it as if it's their own, right? They take it for themselves, right? But then from a different mindset, right? Take like what Kwaku is trying to say, from where I understand it, is, own it, own the ministry, take it and work with it because it's good, perfect. Now, what about the people that are owning it and spoiling the thing?
Bro, for this one, I think you should go for it first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of people who can be hot-headed and they take entrenched positions. I don't know. That way is bad, and I'll not glorify that. And sometimes they will want to show that they are the original, owners of it's like Makion handed the church to them. I mean, even if you want to go beyond church Pentecost, it's like Jesus Christ handed the keys of the church to them.
The kingdom.
You always find those people. I think, in a way, they are overzealous, and it's not good for ministry. I mean, let me state it clear here that you are either in to make it work, you are either in to add up to it. So, again, let me go back to Waterman Picking. I've seen a couple of Waterman Pickings who might not necessarily climb to become. We have different levels of administration. OIC. So OIC is the head of a station, and there are a lot of PKs who might enter into ministry and might not necessarily become apostles. They might become pastors. Maybe your dad was an apostle. It doesn't automatically mean you're going to be an apostle. Maybe your dad was a pastor. It doesn't mean you are automatically going to become a pastor, right? I'm digressing a bit, but I'll bring it in. So there are people who feel that I should be the one. Oh, if they want, because my dad is a pastor, then if they want someone to be this, I should be the one. If they want someone to be this, I have to be in. If they are doing this, I have to. you don't always have to be in. You can be in ministry without necessarily being in the core, without necessarily picking up the titles. The ministry actually is work. It's not even in the titles. So those who pick up the titles, they are given positions, they are given assignment, and they will not budge, they will not change. They hold entrenched positions, and it's not good. It's not good.
I've even heard some as of Miami people fighting over seats, the position where they sit. So
see, ministry is not in titles. Ministry is not in positions. It's work. Trust me, it's work.
Fighting over the seats.
Who should sit in the middle? Who should sit?
Oh my God, that's funny.
so yeah, I mean, some people will take it up. They will show up at meetings. They are not contributing. They are not helping. They are always controversial. They are always, sometimes you want to change stuff and they're trying to pull you back and say, oh, this is not how we used to do it. This is not, come on. Especially when we are trying to build consensus and move forward, and they bring in all the past. Oh no, this is a general thing.
Oh my
Charlie, come on, please. So we are helping ourselves, we are trying to help ourselves. So yes, people accept the call, and then before you realize, they are fighting everybody. They are disagreeing with everybody.
That's my one biggest pet peeve when it comes to presbytery, because we're all together trying to get to a goal, right? And sometimes, unless it's not really sometimes you can just know that the consensus is saying this is not good, so we stop, or this is good, then we go, right? But then you can see you are the only outlier in there, and then going fighting against the major thing. And this brings me to the next conversation, this part of the conversation where do you feel like, do you have your own voice, or you are expected to toe the line? Like Kwaku, you're saying you have to toe the line, but now you're saying you don't have to. You have to do what is basically right, quote unquote, right? So how do you find your voice that people will not say it's your father's voice, it's your mother's voice, it's your quote unquote, that idea me the king. You get what I'm saying? Because the imposter syndrome part of this is what you're doing is basically what your parents have put you there. When my brother became an elder, people thought my dad was the reason why they put him there. Right? I'm sure some of y'all Braa maybe they'll say, oh, your dad was the reason why, oh, mediki, papa, and then they put you in there, maybe that's maybe because, and then you're like, okay, do I have a voice in this? When I go anywhere, can I speak freely for the calling that I have accepted? Now we've moved from the difficulty of accepting the call, and now you have accepted the call, but there is, because you are from the family of ministry, you are pushed or quote unquote pressured to be a little, move back a little bit, so that people don't assume that,
if you are in, then you are in. I mean, if you are in, then you are in. So you don't have to be silent. So just because people will tag it back to you and say, oh, because he's a sufferer, but that's why, because he's coming from the lineage of ministry, that's why he says, like, I'm giving a general example. We want to sensitize members to give, visit Mission House and, help, like, suffer. And it's good to take care of our software, because our software goes through a lot. Church leaders go through a lot. And because, if I say something, they'll think, he's a software, but that's what. No. If the thing is white.
That's a good question. When you're actually asking the question, I was like, this is such a good question, because that is why I'm personally not in support of this role play thing at all. I'm not. I mean, of course, made a good point that it is able to usher you in, but if you keep role playing, you will not even find your voice in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as an individual, I don't like. I found my voice. In fact, if I may share the story, I think that Apostle Nyansa Efron would be laughing about this if you ever find this video. He's gonna be laughing if he would remember. Wenzaki University, when we were being made officers, man, I was fighting with him, man. Efron, Apostle Ebenezer Hagan, and Ebenezer Ejapon, if they would remember, standing at PCC and Charlie, they were giving it to me because I was challenging this whole Pensa officership system. So me finding my voice, I think that I've been stubborn from
Stubborn academy.
I'll be very vocal about what I think it is. I'd had some conversations and I felt that, okay, if you're a potential officer, give your name to your presiding back home. Because I felt that the Pensa structure is very much for students, but officers functions best at the local level. So we give you.
That's where you're truly known.
That's where you're truly known. That's where you truly perform as an officer. That was my thinking then. Well, yeah, I mean, I still have that, idea, but so we give your name to your presiding. You go through training in the house after a year or two. If it's still, Charlie, you're still on fire. Wasn't just a campus thing, but also at home, you're still doing well. Then your presiding will present your name, and then we can just basically relay it back to Pensa that this person that you gave us by the grace of God has become an officer. So, Charlie, I didn't go for my officership interview in Pensa Krao, Dakra. I was sleeping in the room somewhere, And then I heard that, Charlie, everyone is calling you, because they have the list of those who are supposed
to have the list.
Or those who are supposed to come for interview. Oh, I didn't go. Hey! Then we went up and down talking about this. And, he sat me down to really talk to me and, tell me why, once people have seen it, because then he's the one who brought up the understanding that there's a church that will witness the grace on you. And then that will be the reason why sometimes you are calling, not just what you think the calculations are. Okay. So even then, my voice.
Which is the church on campus, not the church at home.
Yes, the church on campus, which is still the church. Yes, it's still the gathering of the brethren. So it's still the church. So yes, I understood Apostle, Hagan, Apostle Japan, we all discussed it, and then I eventually went. But that is just to say that even then I felt that I should be vocal. It wasn't because at that time, my father, I just remember at that time, Daddy was the youth patron. Oh. At that time, that was the youth patron. And it was almost as if I'm fighting the system. The patron and his
entourage.
Entourage. But I just feel that I should make that clear that that's what I feel the system is, and so. But that is to say that if you understand your call, and that even within the family calling, you understand that this is what God has called me to be and stuff like that, you'll not always find yourself hidden under a cloud and not being able to find yourself, to express yourself. So you have a lot of PKs, a lot of elders, officers who will not be able to express for a reason or two because, hey, what if? What if ahead, and what if pastor? And what if God has put that word in you to change
your mark? Yeah.
And so you have that a lot. Me, to be honest with you, a lot of people have always been like, if you speak, it sends a direct line to your old boy. So officers meet.
There's a special embargo on your mouth. But it doesn't make sense. So when will you ever have a voice? Because if old boy goes now, right? The time is up and he goes now. People also say you can't speak because your time. If you're talking now, you're talking against whoever is.
That's a good point. So personally, I've never had that, problem at all. I've always made sure that when I go for meetings and I have to speak, I'll speak up. If I have an idea that I want to share, I'll share. Even if it's an idea.
How does your wife feel whenever you do that? I know.
Oh.
My wife doesn't like me talking too much.
my wife is the different one. She's the one who would be like, you can't do this, daddy and mommy, that's my mother, she's very careful. But she's the peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Blessed are the peacemakers. She's a peacemaker.
Peacemaker, daughters of God.
Yeah, so but I've always made that way that I think that in my becoming an officer in the first place had nothing to do with my old boy. I accepted it because I felt that's okay, fine. I've believed and accepted that it's time to really move into the call of God in terms of being an elder or being a deacon or whatever, being an officer. So it is not now that I'm going to not be able to express an idea that I have genuinely because of where that he finds himself.
Yeah.
And indeed, I you can verify this from Oyema. There are times I'll call that, like, I feel that 1, 2, 3, this and this and this, and then you come back, no, 3, 4, 5. Like, no, me, I think it's still 1, 2, 3.
It's 1, 2,
3. And I have that relationship with him. Yeah, I have that relationship that I'm able to express myself to him, and you'd be like, okay, fine, my dream home, and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think that is the best kind of relationship. I feel like one thing that it's personally is a disservice for even our culture and the church is when we cannot in safe space and in a respectful manner challenge something that we don't understand.
Yeah.
Especially in our system, because when you do it, especially if you're a PK, when you saw the number one, maybe Opa Panti and when you say Utimi Kasachere, sir.
Yeah.
Number 3. What is the other one? There are countless things that you can, but then that you are bringing this because you also care about the system. You care about it, and you feel like, hey, maybe we need to review it. Maybe there should be a thorough explanation as to why this is happening. Yeah. And I remember some of the days, even before I was made a presbyter, and we'll be on meetings here, and we say our mind. We're like, they want us to do this, and we're like, nah, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then they're like, hey, Pennsylvanians, they know themselves. Like, no, we don't want this person. No, it's not gonna work. But then they're like, oh, they're forcing it on you, and you're like,
yeah, a lot. In fact, I think that this question is such a good question, because when you become a PK who is an officer, it's one of the most difficult things that you'd have to navigate. Yeah, especially if you find yourself under the leadership of your father being the same district or being the same area. I've just remembered at a presbytery meeting in an area I would not mention, for safety reasons. I remember going for a presbytery meeting at our local, and someone actually said, oh, let's be careful now. The big man's son is here so that he doesn't carry, so that he doesn't carry anything home. And I sat there and I was like, precisely, I don't know what they are trying to say, because I have worked with my dad when he was, youth patron. I was in Pensa. I started working with him, and we had a very, very cordial relationship. Yes, I'm Pensa secretary. Yeah, you are youth patron. Say it, yeah, that's yeah.
My term will end, your term will end, everybody will go. Why are you doing
this? So you do have some people who have those deep thinking that once you find yourself as a pastor's child in an area, you're not able to just, not necessarily challenge the system, but bring about recommendations that might not necessarily seem to be supporting the system.
Yes.
Stuff like that. So it happens. But I think that once you find your call and not role play, once you find your calling and then you don't role play, you do it, and it's not like you were trying to challenge the system, and you're just like, you know that genuinely this is what was laid on my heart.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've noticed, I think it's all well intentioned, but sometimes our fathers underestimate our capabilities, right? I think there are instances where for example, before COVID, we were pushing for cameras, we were pushing for all these things that are very commonplace now in almost every assembly now, because after COVID, everybody was like, oh, let's get this, right?
Yeah.
Before that, I know I was in places where we were pushing for, good tech stuff, right? Because it's not because we saw, we didn't know what we're doing, we didn't know what we're saying, but we saw what other people were doing, what other investments were being made in this area, that we thought, oh, we can also do the same thing. Why are we not doing it now? Something, they'll just make all these things up and you're like, okay, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And then fast forward, COVID happens, boom. And then now you're playing catch up and everything. And then you're like, you can't do semi-kind, but because, it is what it is.
Right.
And I feel like there are countless opportunities where, even for young people, right, can really make stride in our churches.
Yeah.
In our father's ministries.
And that's what I like about my father-in-law. Like, if there's one thing, and I'm sure you're a witness, if there's one thing about my father-in-law that you can really easily pick out, listen, you would speak to a script, even a script that you prepared, you will speak to it. You would read, critique, he wants to hear your ideas on it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that he doesn't despise anyone's voice. He doesn't despise anyone's voice. I remember he preparing a script for Charlie, a huge platform. And, I was home, coming down the stairs, son, come. He gives me the notes. I'm like, oh, Charlie. And the things in there, like things that he has written are very deep, and it's like critique. Is it clear what you want to add? If it was you, what you need to add. He doesn't despise anyone's voice. And I really wish that all leaders at every level, ministry level, local level, you'd have that heart to understand that every voice, it is not to challenge you and make you, make
look bad as if you're not competent or whatever.
Because everything that maybe might come into the mind or the heart of the person, it is really thinking about an aspect that might not even have been thought about. What if this? What if that? And the person just wants to share it. At that instance, it may seem as if, it's a challenge, to the system and not wanting to. But here's what I always say. If we are all not role playing,
all doing papa, mama.
If we are all not role playing, okay, and we all understand our core. You see, bro, if God has given me a word for my local, and I'm not role playing, and I know that I call officers together, I'm like, this is what the Lord has laid on my heart, A, B, and C. And then you bring up your idea, and stuff like that. Wouldn't I be able to carefully explain that this is what has been laid on my heart? This. By the time we leave there, everyone would understand your vision.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're not role playing. You know that you are actually responding to your core.
Yeah.
Authentically. And so sometimes, the role play for me, I don't think I would ever be a supporter. I wish Kwaku would be here to
I know. That is some technical difficulties right now. So.
For me, I don't support one just working in the role and not having understanding of it. You must have rich understanding and then work in it.
Yeah,
work in it.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
I think this has been very eye-opening, and I hope everyone watching, we'll definitely do a part 2. There's a segue where we're doing it will be just some of the conversations will really merge into a topic, runaway PK. So we can literally put that in there and touch on some of these things. And I think Yeah, but we really appreciate y'all being here. We really appreciate you viewers watching. We apologize for there's so much technical difficulties. It means we're doing something good, and the devil is trying to is trying to do himself whatever. But yeah, we'll do better. We'll do better next time.
The devil is like, the internet is
Hey, he's the lord of the
oh my, that's so funny. Yes,
yeah, but definitely we appreciate that y'all pulled up and we had this conversation, and I hope it's been good for somebody that's listening. Make sure you like, share, comment, let us know what you think, and we'll catch you on the other side. It's the PK Podcast. God bless.